Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to Disarranged Talk Show. Joining you live from Be More on the D, your hosts, Matt and Andrew. Please like, subscribe, and comment.
There we are.
Hey, we made it. What's up, my friend?
I'll get the hang of that someday. Maybe not today, but someday.
That's all right, buddy. You're doing a great job. How you doing this evening, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. Man. I'm excited to be here. We have a great show, great guest, lots to talk about. So,
well, listen, before I get into my spiel, bud, I want to give a shout out to all the people that have stuck with us for the last year. And if you don't notice, something different about Matthew is he's got his little fireplace back. Yeah. He's got his old man sweater on, his cap, and you're looking very festive and warm over there in Michigan, bud.
Yeah, it's cold here. We're close to the Christmas holiday, and we've got a lot of demand for the fireplace to come back. And by a lot of demand, I think like it was just my mom or something like that. But it's back nevertheless. So back by popular demand, the fireplace is back.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, we made it, episode 48. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on TikTok, here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for joining us to the Disarranged Talk Show. I'm your host, Andrew Turner. Joined with me is my good friend and co-host, Matthew Gardner. Tonight, we have an incredible show planned for everybody. And first, I'd like to say thank you to Neptune's Plumbing and Heating for sponsoring this video. If you are in the Baltimore City and Baltimore County, Baltimore area in general, please give these guys a call. They're top-notch performers, top-notch service, and again, they're sponsors of this video tonight. So please give Dan Gedicke a call at 410-776-5864. And again, that's Neptune's Plumbing and Heating, located here in the Baltimore area. Thank you very much, guys. We have a great guest on tonight. We're going to be going through some good current events, and again, our guest is I cannot wait to get into them, give them an introduction, a proper introduction. Sure. So everybody, if you could, before we get started, please like, share, and subscribe this video. If you're on TikTok, smash that screen, tap the like button. If you're on other platforms, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you know where we're going next, so Matt, what do you say we what first?
And now, your news and current events with Matt G.
We got some good ones tonight. So we'll start with this.
Ooh, hitting them hard, hitting them heavy.
Yeah. So this is, like I told you before the show, this is the first time we've really been able to respond to kind of breaking news. This just happened yesterday, and this is a story we've talked about maybe 2 or 3 times, dating back to when it happened. It's been a 10-month process. So Brittany Griner, WNBA player, recently was just released from a Russian prison in exchange for international arms dealer Victor. Let's see, Victor Bout, I think it's his name. It was a negotiation that was done between the U.S. government and obviously the Russian government. So there's a lot to unpack here, right? There's a lot to this. A lot. You have both sides of the fence where obviously, let me preface by saying that I don't think it's ever good to have any American citizen sitting in a foreign country jail, right? You know what I mean?
I agree.
And this really has nothing to do with her. It's the trade for this famous international arms dealer. This Victor Bout, the one that they traded for, was actually, they made a movie about him called Lord of War in 2005.
Oh, with Nicolas Cage.
He is famous for arming Al Qaeda and Taliban in Rwanda. And he was nicknamed by our government as the Merchant of Death. So, so we so we're looking at, and I'm not faulting Brittany Griner because if I was her, I'd want to come home too, right?
100%. Yep.
It's kind of, what are we doing here? So go ahead, give me your thoughts initially.
So all right. So initially, right out the gate, we've been tracking this story for the last 8 months when we
Yeah,
first reported on it, and we've been following it. And our stance was, listen, if you're gonna go to a different country to do a crime, like there's got to be some sort of consequences. That's the world that we live in, right?
yeah,
I especially going into a freaking area like the Russian government. I don't know. You feel like you got to have your P's and Q's all lined up.
right.
Um, I don't. I don't agree with why she was locked up, being an avid cannabis user. Like, I don't think that's the thing. I don't, But
Sure.
again, you have to follow the rules. You have to know your surroundings. That's a big thing in the military. So I don't think that they should have left a military guy over there. Now, we did a little bit digging on him too, though, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about that piece. There is a 52-year-old former U.S. Marine that is detained in Russia right now. His name
Mhm.
is Paul Whelan. And he was, I'll let you get further into it and why he was there, but he is now serving a 16-year prison sentence in Russia
Mhm.
based on the fact that they thought he was conducting espionage,
Yes.
which, if you don't know what that means, it's spying.
Right. So apparently this guy, So all right, so let's talk to everybody. Your first initial reaction is you hear, "Oh shit, there's a U.S. Marine locked up," as was mine up for a few hours ago, until right before the show. Matt and I always do a last minute dig. We always try to figure out something that we might have missed, and we came across something that was pretty profound. Yes, the imagery of what happened yesterday is absurd.
Yeah.
You're going to leave a U.S. Marine locked up, that someone that signed the dotted line to serve his country, over a person that's good at throwing a ball into a hoop and is more of a social political statement. But as we did some digging on this Marine in 2000 and what was it 2008, he was he got discharged with a bad conduct discharge for writing fraudulent checks.
Okay.
So we ended up finding that after we had talked. So
Yeah.
I have to judge off the character and the information that we are given, and just coming from someone and this platform, we talked to everyone that's honorably served, and I don't. It's hard to get behind that. Does that make sense? And I'm kind of stumbling a little bit.
I get it.
It's hard
I get it.
It's
It would
hard to
be
feel bad for somebody when you could say, look at, this guy obviously had good integrity. Well, you start doing some digging, you writing fraudulent checks, that goes completely against the Marine Corps and the integrity part.
Right. There's obviously more to the story on his end. I don't know why he was there, what he's doing there. Again, I'll go back to.
Well, hold on, I'm going to interrupt you. In 2000, when he got arrested in 2018, he was over there for a wedding in Moscow. And what had happened was he somehow, from the reports that I read, came in contact or somehow had a disk or some sort of hard drive on him with sensitive documents or information of intel, Russian intel. Now it's kind of like, what's that one Will Smith movie? Is it Will Smith? Where
Enemy of the State?
Enemy of the State. It's very similar to that. Like, I could be walking in a metropolitan city or whatever, and somebody drops something into my pocket, and then all of a sudden I'm getting hemmed up. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they pull it out of my pocket. Who are they going to believe?
Yeah, no, you're right. And so again, I'll go back to what I said. I don't like any American citizen, regardless of what it is, to be locked up in a foreign prison. So it's again going back to the exchange of this prisoner. The Pentagon commented on it, and they said that they do have concern. Their quote was, I think there is concern that he will return to doing some of the same kind of work that he has done in the past. So,
well, Matt, here's another point, and I want everyone to comment right now what your thoughts are. But every day as Americans, our gun rights are being threatened by our own government. All right? I'm not want to get political. I don't care. You're left, right, up, down, straight. I don't care. The thing is, we have the right to bear arms, and that all became part of our country and constitution when it's to protect us from our government.
Yeah.
What's it look like to everyday citizens when we have thousands, probably hundreds, and we couldn't find this number. We've got thousands, tens of thousands of individuals in this country that are locked up for minor cannabis consumption or possession, and they're in a system that they'll never get out of.
Sure.
You have a basketball player that plays for the WNBA, which is one of the worst financial institutions in all of history. They lose money every year, and you're going to put her on the world stage and give her a chance to, I don't know. It
Well,
doesn't look
I
good.
think
Welcome home, Brittany, by the way. Welcome home. It just does not give us a good look of society, what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go.
I think it's a little bit with the Second Amendment, touching on that very quickly. I think it's a little bit of preaching at both sides of the pulpit to say, as soon as there's a gun incident, we want to take away guns. And then, you get social pressure and, pressure from celebrities to get her released. And that's fine. But then you release somebody that you nickname the Merchant of Death, who's supplying Al Qaeda and Taliban with weapons. So you can't. I mean, it's kind of talking on both sides of your mouth, and that happens a lot, right? I mean, on both sides. But this just, it's not a good look. My hope is that this does not come back to bite us in the ass, because whose ever blood it's going to be on the government, whatever happens with this guy from here on out.
Well, before they even released him, they should. I mean, you can't tell me our government doesn't know exactly what types of conflicts he was directly involved in.
They do that. Well, the major one was Rwanda.
Yeah, I'm saying, so you can directly relate blood to his hands.
Yes, you can. So, yep. So
I think. Listen, so make it full circle, dude. I think everyone, if you're in a foreign land and you're American, you should be able to come back home. There should be some sort of federal probation or some stuff where if you get part of a foreign land, you got to do some work for the government, whatever. I don't know. Figure something out. Get them home, right? Get them over here. They don't need to be taken care of, being, treated something differently in a different country. So, so welcome home, Brittany Griner. We look forward to hearing from you. You're getting a lot of hate. Sorry.
Well, like I said, I don't blame her. I mean, she did everything that I think a normal person would do. She wrote the White House.
Yeah.
She used her celebrity to pressure them, and that's what anybody would do. But now, if it was me that was locked up over there, you wouldn't see my ass for another 20 years. So,
well, that would. Listen, but if that's all I got, so that's all I got to do to get a vacation from you. Let's book a trip right now.
Yeah, let me get some hashish oil and go try to freaking board a Russian plane on the preface or on the eve of a war with Ukraine. It sounds like a great idea. But anywho, I got something fun for you now. We did this before.
Okay.
And I think you like these lists that I get, and
I do. I don't know what you got for me, but I'm ready.
I found an article in Cosmopolitan. Don't ask me. I'm not reading Cosmopolitan. All right. So just let's stop there. I'm not reading that, but I came across it. So anyway, yes. So what I have for you, my friend, is the 20 things that women do that men secretly love. So in other words, like, you don't necessarily say, I love that, or I appreciate you, but they do it and you're like, God, that's awesome. Right.
Okay. I'm very interested. I have an opinion about something about this. So,
right. So
let's get into it. Start listing them off, buddy. Let's get this going.
Yep. So number one is laying your head on his chest.
Yeah. I think that's cool, man. It's yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. That's a good
Agreed.
one. Number two is asking for his support.
Shit.
Men naturally they want to fix. We're fixers, right? You want to support. You want to be there to help. You want to be there to fix. So I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
that's a no-brainer. Number three is making the first move.
Dude, I think it's hot if listen, I don't mind the guy is a guy being aggressor. Every now and then it feels good to be pounced on, Am I wrong by saying that? Like,
no,
come
you're
on.
not wrong, bud. You're not wrong at all.
Right.
Number four is texting him first.
I'm not a big, that's fine to me. I'm not judging shit off that. No.
Right. Number five is telling him how much you appreciate him.
That's huge. Yeah. Very big.
Yeah. Number 6 is telling him how you really feel. So being honest, instead of, the way I look at this is a lot of times men are mind readers. You're maybe like, what's wrong? Nothing. What's wrong? Nothing.
Well, right. Then we got to, we want, we know, we can sense it. We got to try to figure it out. And because again, right back full circle, we're fixers.
Yes.
Right.
You want to fix it. So just being upfront and saying, hey, you know what? You're an asshole and you did this. Let's go ahead and fix it. Number 7, biting his lip while kissing. Come on now.
Listen, thank goodness this show is not made for kids. Dude, I think that's sexy as hell.
Man.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Creme de la creme right there, my friend.
Love it.
Number 8, playing with his hair while he's driving.
I'll take any type of touch or affection. I like the scratching of the head, or the rubbing of the ear, something like that, letting him know that person's there, and all of that touches is just caring. It's just love. That's all.
Number 9 is bragging about him on social media.
I'm not a big fan.
Yeah,
I think all that stuff's overrated, bud. I mean, it's just, I think a lot of it is, and I think we're slowly, as society is learning more about social media and the internet, not everything you see is what you get. So I automatically, as soon as I see something happy and like people happy online and shit, I'm like, yep, I'm out.
All right. Number 10 is wearing his clothes, the sweatshirt, the hoodie.
Yeah,
right?
that's cute. Yeah, that's cute. Yeah. Yeah, with little booty shorts on underneath it. How you doing?
Number 11 is really listening, right? Really listening.
Yeah. You want, everybody needs needs somebody that's actually going to listen to them and hear them. I agree. Next.
Number 12 is huge for me. This is fantastic. Making eye contact. I'm a big eye contact person, man. You can see a lot in someone's eyes, both good and bad. Both good and bad. So
I'm not commenting on that one, but okay. I do like it.
Okay. Number 13 is texting him when you're out with your friends. No, it doesn't matter to you?
No.
Okay. Number 14 is just being affectionate.
Huge.
I think everybody can agree with that.
Yes.
15 is surprising him with treats. Hello. No, you don't like a little Doritos and salsa, or while you're sitting there? Come on, man.
Nah, listen. If my girlfriend brought me in like an energy drink or like some beef jerky or something, she'd get a little freaking good game. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Number 16, arranging for him to meet your friends. I don't.
Her friends are like making arrangements to see your buddies.
Arranging for him to meet your friends.
I don't know. I think, isn't that like standard?
I think so. 17 is giving him words of affirmation, which just goes back to, I appreciate you, stuff like that. That's a no-brainer.
Yep.
18 is planning a date night. So it's not always on the guy, right?
Dude, I love it. Absolutely. Again, it goes back to that whole, like, making the first move. Sometimes a guy just wants to be able to chill and not plan, and it feels good to be kind of catered to, if you will. Yeah.
Number 19 is remembering what he likes and what he does not like.
Yeah, that's big. I'm bad at that on the opposite end because I'm so spacey. Dude, I'll come home thinking I did something awesome, and I'm like, I got these cheesecakes.
You got a kick in the
balls. There was one time in the last 2 years that I remember her getting cheesecake, and for whatever reason, 2 years later, I still will get it, and she'll be like, Andrew, we got that one time. I had half of it. You ate the whole thing. So now,
yeah. And the last one is reminding him how much you love him.
That's, I think men need to have those, what is it? Dude, I'm having a brain fart. Yeah, reassurance, I guess, or whatever.
There it is. Yes,
there it is.
That's exactly it. So,
dude, that was Matt. I don't know where you find these things. They're really good, man.
Yeah, I read Cosmopolitan at work. So
yes, apparently, that's a new fact I learned about you. But
God, I shouldn't have said that. I'll hopefully we can edit that out. Something.
No, I'm not. I'm actually going to put that on a loop. But anyways, that was awesome, dude. Thank you so much. Again, everybody, before we move into our next segment, I want to just, if you could remind you to please like, share, and subscribe our video. I appreciate all the comments and everything. Keep getting in there, letting us know what you think. Thank you very much for everybody on TikTok for all the likes and comments that you guys are giving us. On our show, we always talk about alternative therapies. We've talked about alternative medicines. Again, we want to start off by saying we're not any medical professionals. We're just two veterans going through it, and we want to try to figure out what works for us and alternatively turn around and what works for our audience and our network of what we're creating here. So tonight's guest, we have an incredible find of a guest and of a person that we reached out to and was willing to have a conversation with us, which is always cool when, Matt and I are nobodies and we just kind of do this for fun once a week. So for him to give us time and share his experiences with us, I can't wait to introduce him. So Matt, you want to hit the guest button for us, and we're gonna get him on here.
Well, aren't we gonna get a little? Let's.
Oh yeah, sorry, brother. Yeah, sorry, I didn't have that on my notes. So first, so I'm sorry about that. So the first thing we were going to do, his name is Jaymes Poling. He's with Modern Warrior Live, and we have a clip we want to show you of kind of what he's about and what he does in his organization. So we hope you guys enjoy this as we watch it together.
A moment later, something flies past my head and sticks in the ground. It's the first time I was ever shot at by a rocket-propelled grenade, and I'm mostly just irritated I hadn't recognized what was happening. Luckily, though, by the time I'm needed, I'm more than proficient. Before flying into a hostile city, we prepare thoroughly. We map out exactly where we're landing and how we're going to attack each building. We discuss our rules for lethal engagement. But once I prepare my weapons, explosives, and other equipment, I have some time to myself. I recognize that the safety of my guys is in my hands, and that my safety is in theirs. So I put my headphones in, I block the thoughts of family and home, and I listen to others that can relate to my world. This puts me in an introspective place and allows me to take on a character as I prepare myself to be unforgiving, calculated, and uncompromisingly violent.
Dude, I love the drum in the background. That that little freaking
it's awesome.
That's just like you're on a battlefield, dude. I love that shit. That's so cool.
Yep.
That's so cool. So Jaymes and his organization is called the Modern Warrior Live, and so I think without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, if you could put your hands
Tonight's
together
guest.
For a warm welcome, Modern Warrior Live's own Jaymes Poling, everybody.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing, James?
What's going on,
man,
brother?
I'm good. I missed out on all the Cosmo stuff, and now
I don't think you missed anything.
Oh man, it took me back to like my childhood. I think when I was like 12, my stepmom used to keep like a stack of Women's Worlds next to the toilet. So I was 12, like reading all their sexual health articles and learning about UTIs and shit. So,
I'm never gonna live this down. I don't know why I said that, man.
Man,
Oh, James, I learned Matt and I have been doing this for just over a year. And this is we're episode 48, taking a couple weeks off. That is the first time we talk every day on hours upon day, and I've never heard him say anything like that. And he's right. I never let him live that down.
I was investigating.
You guys don't have time to do your picks and talk about Cosmo, so you got to pick one or the other.
Oh my
Yo, well played. That was very good because we actually didn't pick this week because apparently the Cosmo read was a little bit more important than the NFL picks.
Oh, I'm gonna take myself out of here. Have a good night, gentlemen.
Listen, Jaymes, thank you very much for joining us, man. We really appreciate your time. Really just want to kind of jump on into it. And can you share with us and our audience a little about who you are, where you were raised, and ultimately what led you to join the armed forces and join the Army?
Yeah, man. I'm from Northeast Ohio. I'm from a small city called Warren. We're kind of in the heart of like the Rust Belt between Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And like growing up, I always knew that I think like most young people, I'm trying to figure out who I am at the time. And I just had this idea from like a young age that figuring out who I was would work well with the military.
Right.
And then from the time I was like 12, I don't think I've ever talked about this like in a public interview, but from the time I was like 12, I'm joining the Marine Corps, like dead set. Like I think I called them when I was like 14, and I was like, hey, what should I be doing? And they're like, stop calling us, you fucking weirdo. But they did tell me like when I turned 16, I could like come hang out and do the whole delayed entry program thing. So I did that for a year, and I started school a year early, so I was joining at 17. And my dad, I needed my parents to sign for me then. And so my dad told me if I spoke with every branch, he'd sign, but I had to speak with every branch first. And so I knew like what they were offering. And when it came time to join, my Marine recruiter was like, hey man, at the end of the day, you're going to go needs of the Corps. And I was like, look, I just want an infantry spot. Like, I just want to fight. And he was like, look, at the end of the day, if we need an air conditioner mechanic, you're going to be an air conditioner mechanic. And I get like, I probably had a shitty recruiter too. The way he handled it. But I knew like the Army was offering me like 82nd Airborne Division, Fort Bragg, infantry slot. Like it was getting a sign-on bonus. I was leaving an E3, like a whole bunch of shit that I wasn't seeing from the Marine Corps. And so I remember like when it came down to me telling him I think I might join the Army, then I really just like stood up and called me a bitch and turned all red. And that was about the end of it. But yeah, so that's why the whole time when I was joining the Army and stuff, I was like, man, I just want to fight. I just want to get over there, see what it's about.
Cool. Yeah, the Marine Corps has the policy is that you should, regardless of what job you get or anything, the honor is just joining the Marine Corps.
Yeah, he was sure to let me know that.
Yeah.
He also I don't know why this was one of his lines, but he also got like real serious, and he was like, John Glenn was a Marine. And I was like, okay. I got you over there. Right? But no, I got tons of respect for the breed. So
cool.
Worked out a different way for me.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing that. So now you're in the Army. We'll fast forward a little bit through some of the enlistments, but we really like to get into deep things, and we try to dig it out so we can provide as much value as we can. Do you remember, obviously you're in active duty. Do you remember where you were and what you were doing when you found out you were going to be deployed for the first time, and kind of share with us what was going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, when I got to my unit, they were actually, my battalion was still in Iraq at the time. My company was actually coming back from Fallujah, kind of the beginning of 2006. So I was like waiting on them for a week, but I knew we had a deployment coming. Before that deployment, though, we have like a GRF-1. It's like, essentially, we're just ready. It's the 80 seconds thing, like ready to be anywhere in the world in 18 hours type of deal. Right. So we got like all of our bags packed and stuff. So anytime anything would like pop off and you'd see it on the news and then we would get recalled, you're immediately like, oh shit, I'm deploying to like Kenya or something. But so, I mean, there were a few of those, but, eventually I knew it was coming. Eventually you just, you get the day. It's Afghanistan, stuff shifts around a little bit. But I mean, I don't remember there being like a day where I knew it was going to happen. It was just something I was chasing the whole time.
Right.
Yeah. So that was definitely in your mind, right? When you picked the 82nd, you joined during time of war. That was something that it was important for you to go and serve overseas, right?
Yeah.
And I was like an idiot 17-year-old. So I mean, that helps too.
Just this way. Okay. Copy. You got it. Yeah. I'm tracking. That's interesting. Yeah. So you've been on 3 combat deployments. Am I right?
Yeah. I was in Afghanistan 2007, 8, 10, and 12 for 36 months in total.
Jesus, that's incredible. Can, if you don't mind going into it a little bit, can you share with us and our audience the event that you believe that kind of changed the trajectory of your life as you knew it then, and do you think if you had to look back that it would have led you to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think there's multiple points. Right. Like there's the whole, like getting in the military. I played football in high school. I was horrible at football. And so, I think getting in the military, there's that whole, you get through your training and you start to identify in like a tougher way. And then, I deployed. And then I remember, actually December 7th, 2007, my unit went into a town called Musakala, and it was the 15th anniversary a couple days ago. But that was the first time that I shot people and saw that I was shooting people, could see them, could see the reactions and all of that. And I came out of that again with a super young arrogance, but also it changed my confidence in so much of a way that I could walk different. I could feel a strain in my back, using muscles in a different way.
Wow.
Just walking around the base. But it probably made me too cocky. If I'm being honest, I was kind of an asshole for a while after that, and had to try and scale that back through the years. And then the next thing, when I was in the full throes of physical symptoms of post-traumatic stress, I'm a squad leader at the time. I'm actually between deployments. I was doing just crazy shit. I bought a Cadillac XLR, and I'd be riding around with my AR-15 and 8 mags and my Glock on the console, and I'd be going to every blacklisted place, just looking to get into something. And I remember I was pulling out of this plaza one night, and there was a prostitute that was talking to me, and she was white, and then there was a guy trying to sell me coke at the passenger side, but he asked me if I was looking for the white girl, and I thought he was her pimp for a minute. I was very confused. And then I was okay, no, he's trying to sell me coke, prostitute, two different things. Got it. And, but I remember thinking in that moment, I'm man, if a cop saw this, he'd find some excuse to pull me over. And then my guys are going to deploy without me. If I get caught in this moment, just because, and I was out looking to just feel something again, because I felt numb, across the board. And in that moment, I realized it's more important to me to be there and redeploy with my guys than to go out in search of that. And so I let that go. And I think that was another turning point for me, where I really started to look at my destructive behaviors in a different way. And then once I got out and grieved for a couple years, because I never really grieved while I was in, and started to really think about the guys we lost and their families. Once I let myself kind of just marinate in it for a while, I was able to start building something healthier. I'd stopped just suppressing all of that and dealt with it. And the dealing with it part sucked, but and it's something I still deal with, but it's much more manageable now, and I'm happier overall.
Yeah, I noticed you talked about that. There's nothing like being there, right? And the adrenaline rush and all that shit, and when you come home, that's what you hear is a lot of guys are chasing that somehow, right? Jumping out of planes, doing whatever. What was the point where you started to realize okay, I gotta settle this shit down? I gotta square up here and stop doing this.
There were a few, but the most notable one was really me pulling out of that plaza, because in that moment I recognized I would I'd roll into neighborhoods in this XLR with the top down, and places where I'd completely stand out, and I'd be buying liquor for the homeless dude out front. I'd be I spent my time in those places because I felt more like myself in those places, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think we see that carry over a lot of ways too. I was more comfortable in those situations than I'd be at Thanksgiving dinner, right. And so it really, it's always been the carrot and stick, both that have motivated me to change my behaviors. But at that time, it was more the fear of the stick that kind of steered me away from that.
It's interesting when you talk and tell your story a little bit. There's things that I've done as a veteran, and I've put myself in very similar situations, just looking for something to feel. And you hit it right on the head when you're just I just want to feel something. I used to be in a silver tinted out Dodge Charger in certain areas of places I don't belong. Riding in the back seat with an AK-47 and my Glock in between. You know what I'm saying? Again, to your point, Jaymes. Just I look back at it now, years after I've gotten out of that slum, I'm holy shit, dude, what the hell were you thinking? It's unbelievable the situations I put myself in, but I was, to your point, you were comfortable in those arenas, and I think that's something to really understand as our listeners that the training and the battle never stops, really. You're always looking for something. You're filling some sort of void with something else. And that, once you go through that type of thing, it's very hard to find something that tickles you. You know what I'm saying? When you get back to the world. And dude, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that with us, man. That's unbelievable. So
yeah, for sure.
So here we are, PTSD. You took a couple of years, you marinated in it, and you started working on your recovery. We want to know the who, what, why, and we want to know more about Modern Warrior Live.
Oh man, so it all came about really kind of like by chance. I mean, when I decided to go back to school, I signed up for 2 classes. One of those classes was an English class. Like the first writing assignment was a memoir. and so like I went to this professor and I was like, hey, I'll write you like a real thing. You got to promise me you're not going to like turn me into anybody. Like I'm
right.
Like I want to be honest and I want to
no,
work
that's
through
great.
this. And I need you to know like I'm good, but I'm going to write some dark shit and get it to you. And when I did that, she then asked me to like speak with the vet group on campus. Then they asked me to speak for Veterans Day. Then I was asked to speak for Memorial Day. Wow. Then people like started asking me to sit on panels, and it just kind of snowballed like that until this dude, Dominick Farinacci, the trumpet player in the show, really, he's, if I'm like the driving force behind the messaging, he's the driving force behind everything else. He's the reason it exists.
Wow.
And so he was initially doing a music video. It was like a Tom Waits cover. The film crew was the film crew from The Deadliest Catch. He just always had like cool shit around him. And the first day we met, I was talking to him about like, if you're going to try to depict veterans returning from war in this music video, make sure you balance that narrative responsibly. Because like when I got out and I didn't have friends that lived, I moved to Cleveland when I got out. I didn't have like military friends in the area that I could lean on. I couldn't find people with similar experiences that were succeeding. Like all I was seeing was that general narrative of veterans and post-traumatic stress as damaged or as liabilities. And while I'm trying to navigate that, that's always like in the back of my mind. So I'm like, hey, man, am I like fucked up in this way? Am I an exception? And over time, you do find that, there's a crazy, like it's a huge community of individuals that get out with those experiences and just roll right into being like ridiculously successful, and not just like professionally, but within their family. They're raising like well-rounded kids and stuff. And you're looking at them and you're like, how the hell are you doing that? Right. So I think that, looking at it and trying to avoid falling into that trap, because it always felt like it could easily become prescriptive. And so felt like I was dodging that. And I wanted that to be depicted in the video. I was like, hey, you can't just do another video where it's like vets in the bathroom with a gun to their head. Like like building the awareness is great, but at a certain point, like that can be damaging to vets themselves. Like you have to inspire a little bit. And so that day he gave me final edit. He's like, anything you ever work with me on, you have final edit. And which blew me away. And so we did this music video, and then people kept coming around wanting to make it bigger, wanted to fund more, and it grew into the show. And we've now done over 130 shows around the country. Been doing it 6 years. Yeah. A little bit of everywhere, from Amazon headquarters, Rikers Island. I just did the Library of Congress a little bit ago. That's the Rikers show actually fell through. We went through, we like hung out and talked to him and stuff. But then at the end of the day, for security purposes, it didn't work out. But yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate to go out, and it's crazy because it's like therapeutic for me. I found during COVID, when I wasn't doing the show, like some of my physical symptoms were coming back. Like I started talking about stuff, and then like my heart would start racing, and I'd be like, shit, I gotta like try and breathe this out now to calm myself down. When pre-COVID, I could have talked about any of this without issue.
Wow.
So that's all. I love the relationship between you and Dominick. How was it your story that he really latched onto when he heard it, that made it, inspired the music behind it, inspired all the other pieces that are involved in the live performance? It just the honesty of your story and the the climaxes and the ups and downs and all that?
Yeah, it's crazy, like how talented he is, because I'm not someone that would have listened to his genre of music before we started working together, and I'm not someone that would have even saw myself as like an artistic person. And he asked me to kind of write my experiences, and he would kick music back to me as I was writing it. And I mean, I went like all in at this point. I thought I was in a good spot, so I wanted to really challenge myself. So I like flipped my sleep schedule. Got drunk. I got drunk for like a month and was just writing every night. And as I would kick things to him, he would kick things back to me. And there were times I'd listen to the music and it didn't feel right. But I would always find at the end of the day, like it didn't feel right because I wasn't conveying it in the right way. Like no matter what I conveyed to him, he would reflect it perfectly. And so then I would have to go back and think about these experiences again and be like, man, do I feel differently about this than I think I feel about this? Or did I internalize this in a different way? And it really forced me to kind of sort through my own shit and get to even a better place. And that was really helpful coming out of that month too. And after that month, I started to realize like I can kind of let myself go to that place now and then step back out of it, because I've just spent so much time doing it. Like I still feel emotionally connected to it, but it doesn't really control me anymore, if that makes sense.
So what I've really enjoyed about your story and learning about you the last couple of weeks when Matt said he'd reached out is, and something that, for as long as I've been a veteran up until the last year with Matthew is how hard it's been as a civilian to build a team of people that are like kind of like-minded, want to go after the same type of goals, compliment you in a way that they do something better than you don't, but you also compliment them, right? And that's what I think works with Matt and I. But I just feel that it's such a great message and important to people to hear that it's so overwhelming thinking you have to do things on your own, right? So let's just say you came up with it. It's like he couldn't have done it by himself. You couldn't have done it by yourself. You guys came in and had the synergy together to be able to create something beautiful. And I just think I wanted to send a message to everybody. It's just, you got to stay persistent with the people. And you kind of fell into presenting one time and this led you to something. But I just, even with us and everybody else, I strive for people to keep pushing, keep doing the 30-inch steps, and something will fall in a line that you're supposed to be at. And it's all doing time. So I appreciate you really sharing that. Can you also give our veterans, and our civilian listeners, as you know, we like to try to bridge the gap between veterans and civilians, and understanding that civilians also go through very, traumatic situations. Could you give someone that may be listening some inspiring words that maybe helped you along the way, and just give them a little bit of hope for tomorrow?
Man, I have no good quotes or anything, but I think if you were to look at, conceptually, what helped me the most, it really was like that idea of adversity providing a growth opportunity. There are certain sayings that like we would hear all the time that I reference. Like we used to hear "forged in combat" like all the time. Like that was a thing that you don't like. People don't use that as much anymore. I don't hear that. And then people look at, they'll look at like cancer survivors, and they'll say, this person's a survivor. They're stronger. They've got through this. I think that there's an opportunity to apply that mindset to all traumas. And I know, of course, it's all individualized, and it's, it's all relative to the individual. But, I can't help but think if you really dig into it and you look to use it as an opportunity to learn about yourself and better yourself at the end of the day, that opportunity's there. I think it just really requires leaning into it.
Yeah.
When I first came home, the first time I had like that post-traumatic stress reaction, there was a helicopter landing at a hospital nearby, and I had like that full-blown, like physical, jittery, nauseous, heart racing, sweating, all of that. And I didn't understand it. I didn't know what it was at the time. And so I would sit on my couch and I would just make myself keep reliving that. I'm not suggesting this for anybody. This is why I partner with like medical professionals, but,
Right.
but I would sit there and I would just keep reliving it. And I did that for years. And what I found was over time, when I would sit down and try to relive that and try to trigger that physical response, it just lessened every time until it got to the point where I would think about that stuff and it wasn't there. And later I would learn like how it parallels exposure therapies and all of that. But knowing none of that at the time, really just leaning into it helped me. And when I find myself avoiding it or trying to bury it is when I find it affecting like not only me, but my loved ones more.
You know, one of the things I really admire, Jaymes, is even when the clip we watched was your ability to be so honest and forthright about your experiences. And that's not in the veteran community. That's not really something that I've seen happens all the time, about the very intimate things, you know, shooting somebody and what it's like to see them. Was that always something natural that you were able to communicate, or was that something that you found eventually you're able to talk about it? And I assume it was very therapeutic to be able to get it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that makes it uniquely easy for me to talk specifically about that is, even though it was like 3 days of fighting on that mission, and I had a lot of friends wounded, I didn't lose any of them. And they're, you know, and some have like some nerve damage and stuff. But I'm able to look back at that mission in a way that I can't look at other missions where we did lose people. And so I think that allows me to talk about it in one way, because I have that experience separated from like the loss of people that I cared about. But at the same time, a lot of the other stuff that I talk about in the show, really, it felt like an obligation. I mean, if I'm being honest, the show itself at the beginning felt like an obligation. Every time I'd talk, I felt that when I would have conversations with other vets, they would, you know, say something along the lines of like it positively impacted them. And so I just felt inclined to keep talking. And early on when we were doing the show, I mean, it was exhausting. It was draining. It still is draining, but
Yeah.
now we have conversations at the end of every show. We pass microphones around the audience. We hang out, we talk to them, and hearing like I've had tons of children of World War II vets say like, I understand my childhood and my father better now. You know, I get, of course, conversations about individuals on the spectrum of like suicidal tendencies and thought and how it affects them. But the thing that I'm kind of most proud of is our partnerships with veteran service officers, because at our shows, we have those services in the lobby. So even though we're like pushing some people's buttons, and we're doing it through entertainment. I mean, it stands on its own as entertainment.
Right.
But we're pushing those buttons. We're getting individuals to a place where they're thinking about stuff in a different way. A lot of times it'll open up communication. A lot of Vietnam vets open up, start talking about experiences with their loved ones that they'd never talked about after the show. But we want to make sure that we can connect them to the resources when they're in that state. Like the last thing we want to do is, you know, let somebody leave feeling vulnerable. And,
Sure.
Hey, grab your popcorn on the way out. Thanks for coming. Yeah, like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's why we rely on those partners and the veteran service officers, because they're really the subject matter experts. And the same thing, we have medical professionals we partner with, because the second somebody starts asking me for medical advice, I'm completely lost. You know, I mean, I can share my experiences. That's it. And I think the thing that's kind of beneficial about my experiences is they're not like rare experiences. Like my experiences are experiences that most of my friends went through. Like it's, you know, I came back, I got all my limbs. I don't have any like crazy valor medals. I don't, you know, nobody's like looking at me as some exception in the military community.
Right.
And I think that's helpful, because I think that makes you relatable. And so I think when you're able to be relatable and then also be vulnerable, you can hopefully provide some positive impact.
Yep. I absolutely agree. And I appreciate the honesty behind that. I really do.
So
Oh,
James,
for sure.
I've got to ask, man. One again, thank you very much for your time this evening and sharing your
Oh, thanks
story.
for having me.
Everybody, you can find his story on his website, which will be in the description and everything below. We encourage everybody to go out there and try to support the best you can. It's at modernwarriorlive.org. And lastly, James, I want to ask you, man, how can our network here at Disarranged get involved with your organization? And we would definitely love to come see you in 2023 perform and support your cause.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I do. Let's stay in touch, and when we're in the area, love to have you guys. Anybody you want to bring with you. Something we do every show, we provide free tickets for vets. Like the last thing I want is like vets paying to come see the show.
Right.
So luckily we get like we got a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts last year. That's been
That's
helpful.
awesome.
There's things like that allow us to do that, but really it's just getting individuals in the room, because I tell people a lot of times they're like, how do I get like my friend to come see this show? And it's difficult, right? Like I still haven't watched The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, and I am in no way comparing my show to anything like that. But I haven't watched, like, I know it's a good movie. I just haven't watched it yet because I haven't been like, man, am I ready to like get into my feelings tonight? And generally the answer is no. And so I think just encouraging individuals, like I was saying earlier, to face it and lean into what they're experiencing to then be able to start to work through it is the most important part. And I think what you guys are doing is great, man. I mean, I've watched some of your shows and stuff. I mean, the stuff you guys are putting out is awesome. So I think just what you're doing is, I think that's helping quite a bit.
That's awesome, man.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, no. I just want to say thanks again for what you do, man. It's so unique and so refreshing, and it's been an honor to talk to you and get to know you and have you on.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's been an honor being here. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. So, and again, we just want to reiterate to our group of people, please reach out to the organization, get involved as much as you can. Go on YouTube, watch all their stuff. We're going to be following up with this. I think we'll definitely be playing some more of your things along more episodes. But James, thank you very much, man. And if there's anything that we can ever do at any time, you're part of our network, part of our family here at Disarranged. Hit us up anytime, man. We're more than happy to have you on, off air talking, whatever you need from us. We're here to support you.
Thanks, man. Same here. Please reach out anytime.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Everybody,
James.
ladies and gentlemen, Jaymes Poling from Modern Warrior Live, everybody. That was incredible, dude. That was a show. That was a good one, man. I got a smile on my face. We put out a good message for our audience and our viewers. And whether you're joining us live or you're going to join us later on, whenever you have time to watch, this was a great full circle episode, man. I think we're really coming into our swing. What do you think, brother?
Yeah, I had a fantastic time talking to James, and like I said, it's just such a unique piece of entertainment that he provides for the veteran community, and not just the veteran community, but those who are dealing with veterans, to be able to understand and cope better with some of the things they've dealt with. I thought one of the more powerful things that he said was, World War II children were able to identify and cope with what their fathers went through, and just some amazing stuff, man. It's awesome.
I never even looked at it that angle, Matt. Like when he said that, I was like, holy shit. Like, there's, you got to think as we're slowly, rapidly approaching that we're going to have no more World War II veterans alive.
Yeah.
We got to look at the families. That's a whole generation of kids that grew up with war fighters that they grew up in an era where this was way more taboo than it was, when we joined, even 10 years ago for us.
Yeah. And really importantly, the Vietnam vets who I think probably have the hardest time, just based on the fact that what they did was never accepted. It was never applauded. It was never celebrated. So they did their job, and had to deal with doing their job and all the massive carnage that came with that, and then having to come home to all the crap that they came home to. So there's a lot going on with those vets and their children and family members. So very important to remember those as well.
Absolutely. I never, like I said, dude, I could keep reiterating. I just never thought of it, dude. I was like, oh shit. When he said that, he's like, oh, like we're influenced World War II, kids saying, you know what, thank you. Like, I understand my childhood better, dude. That's got to be one of the most incredible feelings on both sides of the spectrum. Not only
100%.
for Jaymes, but for that person to be like, damn, you know what, how much pressure and resentment they probably had towards their parent, because I'm sure it wasn't easy. I mean, that was a tough ass generation, dude. I mean, that's so, I just think that the message tonight was great. And I also, if you don't mind, bud, I'd like to close us out with a little something. I'm a little nervous. This is definitely the very first time I've ever done anything like this. But I, since we're talking about alternative therapies, we're talking about poetic therapy, or however you want to call it. I told you that I used to write poetry when I was younger. And since being out, I've dabbled, but I've never shared it with anybody. And I just have like a bunch of files on my computer that I kind of just like toss in there. And, when this show got brought up and you brought this to the table, I was like, you know what, man, like maybe it's time that, I just share a piece. So if you don't mind, brother, I'd like to share a piece with you. I'd like to share a piece called Life of Duty. This was written by yours truly, Andrew Turner. And it goes a little something like this. 30-inch steps to conquer the mountain. Aye, aye, sir, I'm mounted in. Leaving the wire with expectations of the worst. 6 Marines salute as you are lowered into the hearse. A hero you become, an honorable man you were. The morning alarm sounds, leaving the night's events a blur. Feeling empty and lonely, your feet swing to the floor, continuing each and every day, searching for more. Praying maybe one day they'll call you back for just one more tour. Andrew Turner, U.S. Marine Corps.
I love it, dude. That's great. You did that one for me earlier, and it's good. You should keep doing it, man. And keep performing them on here. I think it's great.
Yeah, I when I was younger, man, it was just something I knew I felt always deeper than like the next. And there was times that my mom got called into the school because I wrote a dope ass poem about suicide. And I thought it was like the coolest shit in the world. And then all of a sudden, like I'm like, surrounded by like guidance counselors and everybody. And like, I remember as a kid, like the poem was sitting on the table and I like walked in and I was like, yo, normally I'm in here getting in trouble, but like, yo, this is cool. Like I didn't do anything wrong. And all of a sudden they're like, looking back at it, I understand it, but I was pissed off when I was a kid because I was like, do you not see the artistic value in this? I was
like, you're trying to express something that was,
because I remember, I don't know wherever that poem is. I think there's one person in this world that has all my poetry because this person was trying to put it into a book, an old friend of mine. And we've lost contact over the years, but like, I think there's one person that might have all of my stuff. And, I just remember expressing like what it would feel like. Okay, when I jump off a bridge into the water, what's it feel like? Right, the winds are whip, So I just reverted that, but I wasn't jumping. I was a little higher up and wasn't maybe hitting the water. But I tried to express that and like what would it be like flailing your body through the wind and what's going through your mind of like, oh shit, this is happening. Like I'm doing this. Everything from your past must come at like a light speed across your face, and then all of a sudden it's over.
Yeah. It's deep. It's deep stuff, man. It's
it was like 12, I think I was like probably like 11 or 12 when I wrote that and got in trouble.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Go see counselors and all that shit. But anyways, I appreciate you letting me share that, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That was the very first time I ever read anything like that publicly, like with a freaking unlimited audience that we have here.
Right. Yeah. No, it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Listen, Matt, thanks again. 48 shows in. You did a great job this week. We're pulling things together. Happy holidays to you and the family. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad. We appreciate. I can see the comments from where I'm sitting, and they've been going up the whole show. Thank you very much, because without you guys,
everybody.
we would just be on here bumping our gums by ourselves. And the fact is that we've got family and friends willing to sit here and listen to us bump our gums for 60 minutes a week. We do appreciate you. If you could remember, just show a little bit more support. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this video. I appreciate everybody on TikTok that stuck around with us, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Thank you so much. We are Disarranged. I hope you guys have a great freaking week, and we will be back next week. And remember, a healthy network is a strong motherfucking network. Have a great, great week, everybody. Peace.
Thank you for joining us. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.